What does it mean when a bullet is called parabellum? Many people have asked this question since the 9x19 Parabellum caliber, which until then was considered for military use in Italy, was legalized in December 2021. Hello everyone, I'm Vlad Sparastoria and I know things about shooting. The recent liberalization of the 9x19 has made headlines in the press, where some people have expressed concern that the military caliber Parabellum from the Antino Get Ready for War ends up in the hands of civilians. Parabellum actually has a very different history. As sport shooters know, the 9x19 caliber has no special properties. So much so that civilians have very similar calibers like the 9x21, but also much more powerful calibers like the 357. Manium is commonly used in sport and defense revolvers. First, we need to grasp a key concept. How are names and caliber designations given to ammunition? Caliber strictly means the diameter of a firearm's barrel, but more broadly, it refers to the type of ammunition a weapon uses. It's similar to knowing if a car uses diesel, gasoline, or methane, or what size batteries your remote control requires. Each weapon, for the most part, only accepts ammunition of the correct type, commonly called caliber. However, there is a specific rule on how to name these calibers. Depending on the country and era of origin, they have different names and measurement systems, or various nations have given the same ammunition a different name in the past. However, there is usually only a number like 938 or 7.62 which indicates the caliber, the bullet's diameter in millimeters or fractions thereof. One or more suffixes, often a number that usually indicates the length of the case, or suffixes that give names, or very brief descriptions such as that of the inventor or the company. Descriptions like the acronym Automatic Colt Pistol, which stands for Automatic Colt Pistol, or names used purely for commercial or marketing reasons like Legend or Magnum. The 9x19 Parabellum featured in this video is over 100 years old and has had various names in different contexts over time. 9 Para 9 Luger 9 NATO, simply 9x19 or even the 9mm par excellence. But they are always the same ammunition with the same technical characteristics as defined by the Commission Internacional Permanente, the Permanent International Commission for the Proof of Small Arms, one of the international organizations that regulates the technical standards of firearms and their ammunition. Where does the name Parabellum link to the 9x19 originate? At the beginning of the 1900s in Germany, one of the largest and most prestigious industrial conglomerates in the arms industry, Deutsche Waffen- und Munitionsfabriken, known simply as Deutsche Waffen- und Munitionsfabriken, they were developing some of the very first self-loading pistols that were appearing on the market at that time. Until then, an older firearms technology, the revolver, had dominated. Self-loading pistols, which are the ones we most commonly know today, were a completely new thing. In this context, Deutsche Waffen- und Munitionsfabriken, to market its new product line, used its motto, which was actually Si vis pacem parabellum. The motto was also used in their telegraphic address. At the time, telegraphic addresses could be personalized just like we do today with an email. Parabellum Berlin was the telegraphic address where you could contact the company about, in particular, the new pistols. New pistols called Parabellum, with Parabellum ammunition. They were the signature of this great company. Instead of focusing on their military capabilities, though many military personnel valued them and many armies purchased them, this ammunition was also known by its inventor's surname, Georg Luger, which became widely recognized after NATO adopted it years later, with this suffix. However, undoubtedly the most popular designation remained the metric one, 9x19, meaning 9 mm in diameter and 19 mm in case length. Why was it prohibited in Italy at that time? Already during the fascist period, Italy had undergone strict restrictions regarding private ownership of firearms. The Testo Unico delle Leggi di Pubblica Sicurezza, the Consolidated Public Security Laws, still regulate many aspects of firearms today. It was introduced in 1931 after World War II and the years of lead. The laws for firearms in Italy gave a lot of space to hunting, but not to the possession of types of weapons more suited for defense and military use, especially calibers defined as military, since they were supplied to the armed forces, were prohibited. Not because they were particularly dangerous, but in an attempt to make civilian and military weapons, safety and ammunition incompatible with each other. In case, for example, of a theft of military equipment, how useful this was for public safety is another discussion. Personally, I seriously doubt it, but it definitely pushed shooters and the world of sport shooting to get creative. Not being able to have the exact ammunition they would have wanted for their weapon, they created ammunition that is ballistically equivalent to the original, but technically redesigned. Still like this, calibers. Like the 45 hollow point imitating the 45 automatic Colt pistol, which was a military cartridge banned until 1996. This 45 hollow point had a case 1 millimeter shorter than the automatic Colt pistol. And so, even though ballistically, if we really want to say it, it had the same wounding capacity as the banned military cartridge, it was legal. Similarly, instead of the 223 Remington, they used the 222 Remington, and they used the 9x21, which has ballistic characteristics practically identical to the 9x19, but the case is 2 millimeters longer. Precisely for this reason, in December 2021, with the approval of the Farsolari Amendment, the 9x19 was finally legalized for pistols. It's clear also thanks to a ruling by the Court of Cassation, which established that the 9x19 are not war ammunition, and therefore the ban on the terrible war, 9x19. Parabellum had no impact on public safety. In fact, it was detrimental, especially in the world of sports. In fact, the latter was penalized by the fact that it was almost impossible to organize international competitions, since foreign shooters could not bring their 9x19 pistols with them. Since 2021, Italy has finally started hosting international competitions, increasing the quality of these events and of this sport. Parabellum has finally been cleared, but this name of his, with this warning motto, "Prepare for war," in these recent years of geopolitical tension, still causes some people to have doubts. So I hope I've cleared up some doubts for you. If you enjoy my content, please like, comment, and subscribe. It really helps. As always, I'll see you next time.